Hi there, so grab your spiral notebooks and we're going to start a brand new page and title at the top, Graphing Linear Equations. This should be a little review session, but we're going to go over how to rewrite equations in slope-intercept form and how to graph. So hit pause if you need to set everything up and go ahead and resume when you are ready. So when we graph a line, we want the line to be written in what's called slope-intercept form, okay? This form is probably the most convenient for graphing. And so slope-intercept form, if you remember, looks like y equals mx plus b. And if we review this, the m is equal to your slope, okay? Slope is always going to be rise over run, where we're going to move the change in y's divided by the change in x's. The b is the y-intercept, which is going to be our starting point when we begin to graph. And so that starting point is always going to be 0, b. So we'll start with the y-intercept and then we'll move the slope. And that's pretty much the basics of how to graph a line. So let's look at our first example. Example 1. You are going to graph 2x plus 3y is equal to 12. Okay? So first thing I'm going to do is we need to, step 1, we need to write the equation in slope-intercept form. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. So what we're basically doing, I'm going to put in parentheses, is we are going to solve for y. And this is going to be a skill that we'll practice, okay, when we get back to class, is making sure we know how to solve for y. And so the equation is going to be 2x plus 3y is equal to 12. Well, the first thing I'm going to do to solve for y is I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. And so 2x minus 2x is 0, and we're left with 3y equals. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the negative 2x first and then put the plus 12. We want, again, to make it look like this equation we have above where the x term comes first, then we have our constant with the y-intercept, okay? We're going to divide by 3. But what I want you to do is I want you to divide each part by 3 rather than just putting a big fraction bar divide by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so y equals negative 2/3 x plus 12 divided by 3 is going to be 4. Okay, so by being in this form, what we can see, oops, sorry about that. What we can see is this negative 2/3 is the slope. We'll talk about how to graph that. And the y-intercept is going to be at 4. So we're going to plot that point 0, 4. So what I want to do next is I want to graph this line. Okay, I'm going to change over, get myself a little bit more space here. So bear with me for a second. Okay, so step 2. We're going to graph the line using at least 3 points. Okay, and depending on what we're doing down the road, we might even choose to use more. Now, this is where we're going to have to do the best that we can because we do not have a grid. So let's just kind of neatly, let's put in our x and y axis. And let's right now go ahead and label the x and the y axis. It'll help us make sure that everything gets spaced out. Okay. And so again, the line that we are graphing in slope-intercept form is y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4. All right, so once you're ready, let's go ahead and graph this line. Like we said, we're going to start by plotting the y-intercept right here. And this is the point 0, 4. Again, this is on the y-axis. And so that's going to be my beginning point, is going to be 0, 4. From here, I'm going to move the slope. What this slope of negative 2/3 means is it means we're going to go down 2 units, but then we need to go to the right 3 units. So we're going to move down 2, and then I move over to the right 3 units. Okay, we want to be really careful that we don't move down 2 and then left 3, because then a negative divided by negative will actually flip me to have a positive slope. So we can do this again, okay, and get more points. I'm getting a little bit off the graph right here. We can also reverse it and go up 2 units and then head to the left, as long as we only make one of those numbers a negative. And so I'm going to, here as neat as I can, I'm going to go ahead and draw this line. Okay, and so there's my line right there. Now, that is the basics of graphing a linear equation. What I want to also recap, okay, with example 2 is how to graph different types of lines, like horizontal and vertical lines. So for example 2, I'm just going to say graph each line, okay? So for part A, we're going to graph the line y equals 3. For part B, we're going to graph x equals -2. And for part C, we're going to graph the line y equals x, okay? So what I'm going to do for each of these is I'm going to set up a little graph. You can go ahead and do this with me, and if something goes too fast, just hit pause and get everything set up, okay? So let's just get a couple points in. All right. All right, so when you're ready, let's go ahead and start graphing. So the line y equals 3, what I want to do is I want to come up to the y-axis and I want to make a point, okay, on. And so what this line is, this is going to be the horizontal line that passes through the point y equals 3. And what we're doing is we're graphing a line where every single ordered pair, okay, this would be 1, 3, this would be 2, 3, this would be 3, 3. Every single ordered pair on this line has a y-coordinate of 3. Now the line x equals -2, I'm going to come over to the x-axis and I'm going to plot a point where x equals -2. X equals -2 is going to be a vertical line that passes x equals -2. And so what we're going to see here is that I have this point, it's going to be -2, 1. This is the point -2, 2. And so what we see is that every single x-coordinate has an x-coordinate of -2. So this is going to be your horizontal line. Any equation that is just y equals some kind of a constant number is going to make a horizontal line. Any equation that says x equals some constant number is going to make a vertical line. Well, finally, we come over here and we see y equals x. And this is usually what throws people. So what I recommend is think about what number is in front of x if you don't see it. And the answer right here is 1. And so actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this, but I'm going to rewrite it underneath. This is the line y equals 1x. Well, if I don't see a constant after for the y-intercept, we can assume that that means that it's 0. So this line is really just the line y equals 1x plus 0, which means we have a y-intercept right here at the origin, and the slope is a +1. So it's up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. We can reverse it and go down 1 to the left 1, okay? And so what we have here is this diagonal line, and this diagonal line means that we have a slope and a y-intercept. Okay, so a diagonal line is going to be in the form of y equals mx plus b. A vertical line is always in the form of x equals a number, and a horizontal line is always in the form of y equals a number. Okay, so that is the basics of graphing. To get us started, we'll continue practicing more in class.